This is The Roadmap with Ted Jenkin.
Hey everybody, this is Ted Jenkin and welcome to The Roadmap, exclusively here on America's Small Business Network. Every week, I try to bring you some of the brightest and best CEOs in and around the country. We talk about how to start a business, grow a business, run it, be successful, and maybe you too can exit stage left one day. Of course, I've got Leroy Hite today. He is the CEO of Cutting Edge Firewood. I am fascinated about this business because, Leroy, when does anybody talk about firewood?
Around me all the time.
I just want to know, so I read a little bit about your background, that
Yes.
you were, at Chick-fil-A for a while, might have learned a little bit of that, thought about becoming an owner one day.
Correct.
And Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we know that's a sort of an entrepreneurial model, but what got you excited about getting into firewood?
Ooh, I love the customer experience. And let me tell you about firewood. A fire is like a beautiful sunset. No one on earth dislikes a beautiful fire. It's unifying. You can take anybody on earth and they will sit in front of a fire and enjoy it. It's universal, primal, and unifying, which is very important at this time.
So my experience as a consumer, and some people watching this may think the same, is that typically it seems to me that people would buy firewood in one of two ways. One, I stop at a local grocery store, whether it's a Publix or a Kroger or wherever it is in your area, and you pick up some little firewood in a mesh bag, take it home. Or you're riding on the side of the road and there's some cardboard sign that says firewood, and you back up your truck, they put some firewood and take it home. But how did you come up with this model and the way that you deliver firewood, and how is it so much different?
So I love the, like I said, the customer experience. On the other side, before we got into the industry standard was wood would sit outside for 12 months, rot, literally have mushrooms growing out of it. I love to compare it to water for several reasons. One is because when people are being rude and dogging us, they'll say, it literally grows on trees. Why would I pay for it? And I say, do you buy bottled water? It literally falls from the sky. And the industry, before we got into it, was kind of like a muddy puddle in your backyard.
Right.
Yeah, you can go and drink that. But that's how firewood was when we entered. But we went in when it was like that, skipped over that, skipped well water, skipped tap water, even skipped the Aquafina and went straight to Liquid Death or whatever high-end water bottle company.
Liquid Death was a good one, by the way. Everybody goes to the conference. You don't mind paying $10 for Liquid Death. You look cool, but you're still drinking water.
Yep.
So explain for us how the model works in this. What does it cost you to get firewood together? How did you price this out? Because I feel like, which I think is good, by the way, you created a new market in here by going very, very high end in the firewood market.
Correct. So ultimately, I love firewood because there really was no competition, completely undisrupted. And having a fire is all about that experience. So it was the perfect market to disrupt. It's kind of fun because what's another market that was completely undisrupted? It's hard to think of one. I mean, there are other amazing brands, but before Liquid Death, there was Aquafina and Dasani, and before the iPhone, there was the BlackBerry, and I mean, there's infinite examples. But we have our home delivery service where our delivery artisan will bring our patented airbrush metal rack, and we'll place that wherever you want it to go. Comes with a canvas cover, and when you reorder, we take the empty one and replace it with a full one. It can go up and down stairs. We can put it inside, outside, and we put it through a very, very rigorous drying process. So whenever the wood is dried in a big giant oven, so it burns hotter, starts way easier, smokes less, smells better. There's no bugs, so it's safe to store anywhere. And it's just a night and day difference. And it's the quality of the product, it's the quality of our service, and then our branding that attracts people.
Is it worse when you get loser firewood from the grocery store? That it's just that literally all it does is just kick off smoke from there.
Kicks off smoke.
So is it a subscription model? Is it one time? How does it work?
Yeah, it's one time. So you order, and just whenever you need more, you place an order. And it's kind of e-commerce. You can order on our website, or you can call us or text us or email us.
So let's back up for a second, because when people start a business, a lot of people don't realize when they watch a roadmap that it generally costs capital to start a lot of businesses.
Yep.
Was this the kind of business that you had to build a cap table and raise investors? Or how did you think about structuring that? Because I'm assuming you need a lot of firewood and you need a place to store it.
Right.
So it costs money to get this business going.
Absolutely. Yeah. Originally, so I started it a little bit over 11 years ago.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. And started off just maxing out as many credit cards as I could get my hands on. I mean,
idea number one, folks at home, max out the credit cards.
Yeah. That definitely raises the stakes and makes you nervous. I mean, I remember telling people that I knew sometimes, I'm in $250,000 of credit card debt, and they would look at me like I just admitted I was on drugs or something. So did that, and I would do this. Don't necessarily advise this, but roller coaster where I would in the winter when I had cash, I would pay off all the credit cards, and then in the summer, my credit score would shoot up to nearly 800, and I would get more credit cards and max them out. And then graduated to getting bank loans, and then in 2019 brought on my first.
Did the bank want to see some profitability before they loaned you money?
Different banks were different. Some of them wanted to see profitability. Some of them wanted to see cash flow. I got a first SBA loan I got in 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So pre-pandemic or right around.
It was
pandemic.
right pre-pandemic.
But how do you decide as you grow the company about whether or not you take on more debt, or whether or not you just fund this out of cash flow? You take on investors. How do you think about that as an entrepreneur and a CEO?
Yeah. A big part. I have always wanted to grow it. And I love growing the brand name. And so I'll bring on cash to do that. Part of the challenges are the cash flow.
Is that because of the seasonality of the business?
Yes.
Is the business really work? Because it gets cold in different places, obviously different times. But is it mostly like an September, October to March business?
Yes. September, we really start getting busier, and it goes through January, February, depending on how cold the winter is.
For people ordering, and then they order enough to just get through the season.
Exactly. And now we've gotten into cooking wood, which has helped out the business.
Because are there that many people putting up pizza ovens in their backyard?
Pizza ovens and Big Green Egg and Kamado Joe's and anything that uses charcoal or wood pizza ovens.
But how do you manage that thing that you said? Because there are businesses that have seasonality, and it almost feels like bears that have to hibernate for the winter, and you store up on food. And so as you think about, because payroll still happens every single month. So how do you try to manage the financials of that seasonality?
You bring on smart finance people, which is different than the visionary. That's really, and you have to have the forecasts, and you have to get that forecast pretty accurate with the cash flow forecast. And so when you graduate into being more of a mature business, it's a little bit of less of what I used to do and been like, I got enough money.
We'll make it through the winter.
We'll make it to the winter, which I did a few times. And you get that cash flow projection, and you always leave some margin in case you have a bad month or you have an unexpected expense.
Now you have multiple flavors of wood, so to speak, I would say, like different flavor profiles. Are you affected on the cost side on timber prices, or how are you affected on the cost side? Because your business is labor, but you also have wood, and wood costs money.
We spend a lot of money on wood. It does indirectly affect us. It's more of, so we buy our wood from loggers, and loggers will, they get pine, but then they also get hardwood. So if pine is a really hot commodity, it's hard to get the hardwood because they're focused on the pine. So that's really.
And you also, though, import, you said, from Africa as well. What does that look like, the dynamics of shipping wood literally from an international country to the United States?
Fortunately, we have a partner that we work with that takes care of the hardest part of the logistics, but it really was finding the wood and getting samples of it and trying it out in the pizza oven, trying it out
Interesting.
in
Yeah.
smoker, and seeing what it pairs well with. It's a very, very hardwood. It's harder than anything in North America and burns longer and
Wow.
hotter. And it's really like a rock, so it's really hard to get started. So figuring out really how's this packet, how can we package this for it to be a good experience, was the biggest challenge of it.
Talk to me a little about. I'm really, because I actually had purchased the wood from you before, so I've been a
Hmm.
customer as well.
Hmm.
And I love buying things from local businesses and national businesses
Hmm.
because there's no better way to understand a business than to be a customer of the business.
Absolutely.
But I think the marketing is quite genius, and I just, in this sense, I want you to talk a little bit about where you came up with your texting strategy, because the texting strategy to
Hmm.
me feels very personal. And I think a lot of businesses miss this, that
Hmm.
you can offer something, and when you tell somebody you're going to be in their neighborhood, whether you are or you aren't, but having that thing and getting the
Yeah.
top of mind. How do you think about how you push the text marketing? What platforms do you use to push out the text marketing? I think it's quite brilliant.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we use Salesforce really as the backbone where we keep all the notes and details for each customer, and which I love doing. We've had customers be like, "Wow, this is like the Rich Carlton. They remember things
Right.
about me." But
You remember I like this wood.
yeah, which is always funny. They'll be like, "I haven't ordered in 2 years. How did you remember that?" But so we use that as the backbone, which is kind of where and it's really, we just keep detailed notes and we're organized, and that allows us, whenever a customer calls in or places an order, we can, and even like we'll have customers like, so we have 16-inch and 24-inch and firewood, and somebody will order a 24-inch firewood and we'll say, "Hey, you usually order 16-inch. Did you want the 24-inch or was that an accident?"
Right.
And sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, thank you for catching that for me."
Right. Didn't want that wood.
Yeah, I didn't want that wood, which obviously makes the experience a lot better than showing up at their house with the wrong size firewood. And we've even had customers that have like um, allergies of certain species, and they'll accidentally order it, and we'll be like, "We've got notes that you got
You don't want
allergies.
to
We
order
don't."
this one.
They'll be like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." So on the texting, it really comes down. What really drives us is that customer experience, which is what drives me, and that's really what attracts the employees that work for us. Is they love serving the customer. And
People are so happy to get their firewood.
yes. And there's so much, we get so many texts now. But I love how we get through the noise because we actually care and want to serve the customer. And so we'll text customers and they'll say, "Thank you so much for checking in. I don't need any right now, but let me know when we need it in the
Right.
future." Like, what other business would you text that back to the company for? So we have a direct line, a direct relationship for the customer that goes a lot deeper than most
Do Google
businesses.
reviews matter to you?
Yeah,
They do.
yeah, they do. And fortunately, we have very good Google
Do you
reviews.
feel the Google reviews will optimize your organic SEO and
Yes,
where it puts you
yes,
at the
yep.
top of the heap? And somebody
Mhm.
says need firewood, and basically your firm comes up first.
Correct. That's really local SEO. So if you're in the general area where we service and you Google Firewood, that really comes up on the map at the top of the search, which is very powerful when you're in the area.
So you build this brand. We were talking before that invariably when you're a creator, you
Hmm.
invent something, so to speak. In this case, you invented something in a new market.
Hmm.
People are going to rip you off. Now, if
Hmm.
it's electronics, you're probably going to get ripped off by another country.
Hmm.
But in this business, when somebody sees something good, they go, "Hey, well, we're not doing this in Denver, and they're not doing this in New York. Maybe
Hmm.
I can take this model and steal it."
Hmm.
How do you protect what you build? Is there any way to protect the model or protect the
Hmm.
brand? Because nothing, so to speak, is patentable, is it, or is
We
it?
do have a patent on our delivery wrap.
You do.
And the patent allows it to be moved via hand truck. And so we have hand trucks that'll go up and down stairs and across the yard without messing it up that are electric.
Wow.
And so we can place the rack essentially wherever. And that, when I first started the business, we were slightly innovative, but it would take about 2 hours per delivery once I showed up, which is better than just a pickup truck and
Right.
and doing one delivery and then having to by hand carrying it all or a wheelbarrow. But now 15 minutes per delivery is
15 minutes
average.
for one delivery, full
Once
rack
you show up, yeah,
with the machine, and then you have a patent on that. But still,
correct.
there are people that try to rip you off. Have you
Right.
had to try to sue somebody who basically did
We've
that?
sent some
Some cease and
some
desist?
cease and desist. That's correct. But on the other hand, it really is, it's quality. It's a passion and obsession with us all about the customer experience. So a cheap knockoff, it's pretty obvious when somebody enters the market with an inferior product.
Right.
It sizzles a little bit more. They might mix in some of the wrong species to save some money, and then they hire somebody and pay them slightly above minimum wage to deliver to your home. I have some funny stories talking to some other firewood companies in the industry and kind of what their standards were compared to ours because we have delivery artisans
Right.
that come and deliver to
I
your
love
home.
that term.
And when you call us, you have somebody that knows about firewood, wants to serve you. So the service is better, the product is better. On the product quality, we have a lot of celebrities that buy from us. One that's endorsed us publicly a few times is Terry
Wow.
Bradshaw.
Oh yeah.
We kind of have an internal mantra that every box or rack of wood that leaves our warehouse, we want it like it's going to Terry Bradshaw. When Terry Bradshaw places an order, there is no memo that says, "Hey, this is Terry Bradshaw. You better get it right." It's everything that leaves the warehouse
Looks like Terry
looks like
Bradshaw.
it's going to Terry Bradshaw.
What do you do mostly? Because finding good workers that want to stay, that get excited about your company. What are the main things you do to try to create culture and retention strategies? Because in a labor force where unemployment's at 4%, and especially find people who probably want to deliver firewood, it probably can be challenging to find those people.
It's been very challenging and it's been a long road, but really it's we do rigorous interviewing and we don't lower our standards even when we're
I love that.
desperate. It's so easy when you're going into the busy season. You really need somebody to be like, I'm just going to take this this guy or this gal. We don't lower our standards, and really the people that we want to stay around because we celebrate and reward taking care of the customers. Every single day we'll have multiple customers send us messages about your quality is incredible. I've never burned firewood like this, or I used your cooking wood on my big green egg,
Right.
and my wife didn't know, and she asked me what was different because this tastes better than
It
anything you've
tastes
ever
better.
made. And or it'll be Ruben was my delivery artisan today. He was incredible. How do you get such good employees? And so Ruben loves serving people, and there's nothing he likes better than hearing those customers brag about him every day. We get messages like that. Plus, we get reviews online and on Google reviews and everything. And so every time something like that, we celebrate it internally.
As you build the company, you may keep this business forever. You may try to sell it one day. Are there things that you think about that you have to do to try to maximize the valuation of the business one day?
Yeah, sometimes there's strategies there. Of course, you can you can focus on growing the business, but that usually lowers that EBITDA.
Sucks up cash. That's
sucks
for sure.
up cash when you're focusing on that growth, or you can kind of slow down the growth or even stop focusing on the marketing and increase the EBITDA, which would make it more sellable. As far as that goes, we'll see what
Yeah. One day someone's going to knock on the door and say,
That's
"Hey,
right.
I want a lot of firewood. Give me a lot of
Give me all
fire
of
one
it."
day." What's the one podcast or book that you may be reading or listening to now that you like as an entrepreneur? Anything that you like?
I mean, How I Built That is always
It's
a
great.
good,
It's a
good
great
one that I
podcast.
listen from time to time. Good to Great is kind of the book I always go back to.
Great book.
And yeah.
So for people watching today, if they want to get some firewood anywhere in the country, how can they find out more about Cutting Edge?
CuttingEdgeFirewood.com.
Yeah, folks, I love interviewing people like Leroy because when you think about what you're doing in any industry, if you can be just 10% different, now he's probably a lot more. He's created a new market, just 10% different. This is how you can start a business and build a business, but you have to be willing to jump off the bridge. And when he says he took out $250,000 of credit card debt, are you willing to take that kind of risk to ultimately get your reward? I'm Ted Jenkins. This is America's Small Business Network, and you'll watch The Roadmap next week.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Ted Jenkins.